It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Dallas, Texas. And tonight, it's 7 p.m. and we are live from Philadelphia. Hello, everybody. I'm Mad Dog DeCipio. This is What's the Buzz, America's Popcast. Tonight, the history of rock and roll. We'll be joined by a pretty charismatic young lady. Her name is Meagan Pease. I think that's how you say her name. She's actually right here. I was just talking about you, young lady. I was just talking about you, and there she is, popped right in there.
We're all early.
We're all early tonight. That's terrific. Meagan, let's get something squared away right from the get-go. Your last name is Pease, right? Oh, you got no volume. Check your microphone is off. There you go. All right, hold up. Oh, you disappeared again. Check your mic again. We got Megan's microphone is for whatever reason doesn't want to work. No, nothing yet.
Probably need to restart your PC.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Try No. Yeah, she's got no mic tonight.
Oh.
Hold on, let me.
There you go.
Oh, hello?
Oh, there you go.
How's it going?
Damn, we got her now.
Okay, it's Pace, Paese, if you can hear me.
Pacey, okay, you got it.
All right.
Paese, Pacey.
Yes,
Now,
it's Italian.
Italian?
Yes.
Hey, ¿cómo está? My baby, she's Italian, all right. Because I'm a Goomba. I'm a paisan. Because I was over here pronouncing it peas, like P, like a can of peas.
Well, actually, peace, like the peace sign.
Oh, peace, gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I see that she Beg is into the peace sign. By the way, check her pictures out. She's got her and Ringo Starr, man. She's got peace signs all over. So let me just introduce everybody because we just kind of got early tonight. I said, Cal, let's just go on the air. Why not? Big Cal Yater, he's my co-host, Megan. So there's Cal.
Good evening.
This is of course I'm the Mad Dog, and we're just let me bring you up here. There you go. There's a rock and roll DJ, Megan.
Thank you.
I'm just going to call her Peace. The history of rock and roll. Let's talk a little bit about this. First of all, welcome. It's your first time on our show. I want you to be welcomed here. I want you to feel comfortable, and we'll talk some music tonight and some of your favorite artists. I started out, Megan, as a rock and roll DJ. That's how I got my start in 1976. You probably weren't even thought about in 1976.
Well, it's before my time.
I know. I feel so old you don't even know. So let's talk about the calling. I call it the calling. Music calls to you. The arts call to you, and if you listen to your heart and your spirit and your gut and you follow the calling, you end up like you and I in front of a microphone talking about our music, our favorite music, playing great music, and hopefully bringing everybody else on the ride that you're going through. So I want to start right there, Megan. Talk to me about how this journey, how this ride began for you. Where, when, and how.
All right. Well, you see, when I was a kid, I was into cartoons at first, but it all began when I was 12 years old back in 2002. It was 23 years ago. I was watching a film I like called Lilo and Stitch. And then all of a sudden I heard the song called Hound Dog. And I said, who sings that song? It was Elvis Presley. And that's how Elvis changed my life. I started getting into Elvis, and then if I want to hear Elvis, I had to listen to an oldies radio. So we used to have one in South Florida called Magic 102.7. It got me into Elvis. It got me into the music from the 50s, 60s, and the 70s. Then I went into the Beatles, which also changed my life and helped me get to know about the British invasion and stuff. And then went into the doo-wop music, and then went into all these kind of music. And then when I was 15, a couple of people said you should be a DJ, and then that's a good idea because I want to be a DJ because I want people today to know what music is like back then. Because when I was in middle school or high school, some of the kids don't even care about the music of back then. So I started to know who the artists were, or what songs they sang, or who wrote them, who produced them. It's actually for fun. And then I started to do my radio show in college, which was at Lynn University. I used to do it live. It's a lot of fun. And then as times passed on, I slowly get guesses. And then in 2020s, I started to get more and more guests, which is a lot of fun. And then after Lynn, since they have new technical going on, so I went to the recording studio, which is at Debonair Studios now in Sunrise. And so it used to be live, but now it's a podcast radio. And then to tune in is www.thehistoryofrockandroll. And all I do want is to keep memories alive because I want to talk about the 50s with the birth of rock and roll. If you like the 60s,
we have
60s.
your website up on the screen, actually.
Yeah, right here. Yep.
Yep. We have that up on the screen. I want people to know it's fun because all of us who take this journey, this musical interlude, I call it in life, we do so because we have the same goal-oriented mindset to pass along to the generation behind us the music that we love, the magic, the music, and the memories.
Right.
And on my station, I was on a station called WFIL in Philadelphia. And that station was the Boss Jocks. We were the Boss Jocks back in the day. And our music was, this will bring back some memories for you. Our music was Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods, the Monkees, the Beatles. We had guys like Billy Harner, Joey D, the Peppermint Twist. That's the music that I grew up on. Chubby Checker, Bobby Rydell, Frankie Avalon, people like that.
I actually just found out Chubby Checker, is from my town.
Where at? What town is that?
I'm living in Monk's Corner, South Carolina. Apparently, he's from here.
He was born in South Carolina, but he's from Philadelphia. That's where he was. Where he was discovered, Philadelphia, PA. He was one of the first artists, and Meagan probably knows this. He was one of the first artists on Cameo Parkway Records.
That's correct. That was correct. And speaking of Philadelphia, that's where American Bandstand was filmed too. And I think
absolutely, Dick Clark. Here's one for you. Who was the first host of American Bandstand?
Well, back in the 50s, it was called Bandstand, so it was hosted by Bob Horn. But then he got fired due to drunk driving, and that's how Dick Clark came along. And
that's exactly Bob Horn. Bob Horn was a local legend here in Philly. Bob had a hell of a set of pipes. He had a great voice, but Bob had a little bit of a problem. He liked the bend the elbow, as we say at the tap room. He liked to bend the elbow, and he bent it a little too much one night, and caused a whole bunch of havoc and got himself fired quite quickly.
That's correct. Yes.
And Dick Clark became. Not only did he become the voice of American Bandstand, which he later owned and he bought the name, but Dick Clark became one of the most successful record producers and television and film producers in the history of show business.
Correct.
All because Bob Horn got drunk one night, Meagan.
Well, that is correct. Well, when Dick Clark first came in, the fans were like protesting. They want Bob Horn. And then Dick Clark said, we all know you're friends with Bob Horn, the fan, but then now he kind of took over. And then later, the rest was history, and Dick Clark became one of the main hosts for American Bandstand, and he introduced all these great acts that was part of rock music history. I mean, he would introduce a lot of great dance craze like Chubby Checker.
Oh, God, yeah.
He introduced Danny and the Junior and everybody.
It's amazing. And I'll tell you what, I love the fact that you studied your history. One of the things that it drives me crazy when I talk to people, because they'll sit in front of me in an interview like this, and they'll sound important and they'll sound intelligent. And when the facts come to facts, they'll make up their own facts as they go along. And that just drives me batshit crazy. It really, really does. Mm-hmm. One of the things I am an absolute stickler for is the history, the historical context of what happened, when did it happen, why did it happen, and what was the result of what happened. When Dick Clark took over American Bandstand, he introduced a young African-American teenager, 17-year-old Ernest Evans, who later became Chubby Checker. Dick Clark's wife gave him that name because she said he looks like a little fat domino. Let's call him Chubby Checker.
So that's it. That was interesting. I never heard about it before.
That's absolutely true. Dick Clark's first wife, Jan, gave Chubby Checker his name. His real name is Ernest Evans. He's 87 years old, and the guy he looks amazing, and he's still doing the twist.
That's right. And of course, and then after Chubby Checker, Dick Clark introduced whatever artist he had on the show. He had this artist who played on American Bandstand many times, and he's still live right now. I saw him one of Rock and Roll Graffiti shows and one of Bowser's shows, Freddie Boom Boom Cannon. And
Freddie Cannon, please. Oh, he's a Jersey boy. He's a Jersey boy. He wrote a song about one of our favorite amusement parks called Palisades Park.
Yep, that's Chuck Barris who wrote that song for Freddie before he joined the Gong Show. That's correct.
I was about to say he was on the Gong Show.
And that's another Philadelphia connection. Chuck Barris is from Philadelphia.
Yes, and another rock and roll artist was also in Philadelphia, and that's Bill Haley and the Comets.
Absolutely, of course. They were actually from a place, Meagan, called Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
That's
which
good.
is about about an hour and a half outside of Philadelphia, not too far. And they used to, believe it or not, Bill Haley and the Comets used to play what was called the farm circuit. They used to play in barns. I'm not making a word of this up. They used to play in barns, and people would empty the barn out, and they would move all the haystacks to the side, and they would create the middle so people could dance, and they would have like a makeshift stage made out of like milk containers and plywood. I'll show you some pictures at some point. I'll send them to your Facebook. You won't even believe some of this stuff. It's like so funny. But yeah, Bill Haley and the Comets for sure. Rock around the clock. It changed the face of music for sure.
Well, that's correct. And also not just that, there's also Philadelphia sounds with great soul music in Philadelphia in the
absolutely.
As well. So
McFadden and Whitehead, Leon I'm sorry.
Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, I believe.
Oh yeah, Gamble and Huff, yeah, but McFadden and Whitehead were two Philadelphia guys that helped create what was called the TSOP, the Sound of Philadelphia. And it was John McFadden and Leon Huff. Leon Whitehead. I'm sorry. McFadden and Whitehead. I'm getting these two guys confused because Gamble and Huff and McFadden and Whitehead were two, African American teams that were just amazing back in the day. Back in the 1970s,
Hello?
Meagan. Oh, there's Meagan froze up there for a second.
I don't know what happened. It's just
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I was like, "Whoa, Megan, you there?"
Don't ask.
Anyway, we're talking about the sound of Philadelphia. Oh my God, that brings back some memories. Um, so your journey. Talk to me about the journey. How did you become Meagan Rock Radio?
Well, okay, about rock radio, and I'll tell you that. You see, the
Talk to
reason.
me, lady. Talk to me.
Well, you see, well, here's how rock radio came about. You see, my old Facebook page got disabled unexpected, so I had to create my new page, and then my website designer decided to put Meg Rock Radio. But then I was thinking just Megan Rock Radio Pacey. That was just that's from my name on Facebook. That's all. But if I
Yeah,
like to be called Rock Radio, I think Rock Radio doesn't matter. But I like to be called Rock and Roll Guru because I know everything of rock and roll. The Rock and Roll
yeah,
Guru could be better. And
absolutely.
yeah, and now for my website, you can tune in anything you like, and been getting many listeners that tune in. I mean, we get listeners in Florida, we get listeners from New York, listeners from Cleveland, especially the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got Memphis tuning in. We got the California, Vegas, and we even have London and Liverpool's tuning in. And we got
Right?
Sirius XM tuning in, especially the 50s gold, 60s gold, and even the Beatles channel has tuned in. So it's
Absolutely beautiful.
and I do it for fun because as I said before, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, we do the years. We like to promote concerts. We like to do tributes or anniversaries.
Yeah,
And then when I do Beatles, I would do a Beatle topic and I would bring whatever guests on the show to talk about the Beatles, an author or anyone connected to the
yeah,
Beatles or any Beatle tributes and promoting Beatle events. Like we have Abbey Road on the River in
sure.
Jeffersonville or Fest for Beatles fans. And one in Florida, we have one is called Beatles on the Beach Festival, and that's what I do.
Sure.
And then I want to make it fun and positive because I have to make the rules. Like number one, I don't want to talk about politics because if I do, you would lose listeners. Number two,
Yeah, sure.
no,
Absolutely.
number two, no negative or bad feedbacks or personal feedbacks. And number
Right?
three, no profanities or four-letter words because I
Yeah.
want to make it more clean cut, just like what
Oh, of
people do
course.
back then.
Well, and I appreciate that, but as I say, to everybody, there are no language parameters on this show,
Good.
and sometimes we will drop an F bomb here and there.
Well, be careful.
Megan, I want to introduce you, Megan, to Big Cal Yater. Cal, is a young guy. Cal is an actor. He's not in the music business. He's an actor. But one of the things that Cal does a lot, he takes our mutual friend Eddie Deason around the
Oh,
various.
Eddie Deason. He was at Fest for Beatles fans last August.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
and
in
that,
Chicago?
Yes.
Yeah, I
and
couldn't go with him to that one, but I
yeah,
really wanted to go.
I think Steve might have been with him there.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
I think Steve Joyner might have been with him on that one. But at any other time, you're going to find that Cal is the guy that will take Eddie to these conventions. And I bring Cal up because I want him to bring some questions to the forefront. I don't want it to just be me here, Big Cal. So you got Megan, and have at it, my friend. Have at it.
Well, Megan, I see you have a lot of memorabilia, a lot of figures in the
That's
background.
right.
I mean, you ever thinking of putting those up for auction?
She froze up again.
Yeah.
Hold on. She
unfortunate.
froze. We'll get her back.
No, I'm here.
Megan?
I'm here.
You froze up again. There you go.
Well, you ever thinking
I
of taking it on?
think Cal was asking you if you would be willing to part with some of your memorabilia.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I really like those memorabilia because I like to make my music room more rock and roll like. So I just
Right.
like them. I just like them.
Well,
I would-
Eddie would appreciate some of that Beatles memorabilia you
Oh
have.
yeah, Eddie's a Beatles guy for certain.
Yes, ever since I got
Yeah. I don't know where she's at, but she's got a bad connection or something going.
I'm right here.
There you
That's
go.
clear.
Yeah, you froze up again, young lady.
Uh,
But go ahead, Cal. Finish what you were saying.
Okay, so basically, I'm asking like if you would be willing, like, do you want to take your show on the road? Maybe do some Comic Cons as a guest, sell memorabilia, Beatles merchandise.
I don't know. I don't think so. I would sell whatever I wanted to, because the only thing people would do an auction is that's for Beatles fans, because Mark Lapidus and Tom Frangione would do that every Saturday on that Saturday. That's it. That's all.
Meagan Rock Radio, Pacey. Pacey.
Pacey, you're right.
Pacey. There you go. I promise you, by the end of this show, I'll have it nailed. I promise you.
Well,
Meagan Rock Radio Pacey is a radio personality keeping the music and memories of the classics alive. She is a throwback to a simpler, easier, fun time when music was the soundtrack of our life, ladies and gentlemen. And I can certainly relate to that. This is a young lady who I've been kind of following, trolling her actually on Facebook, trying to find out like what makes her tick. Who is this young lady, and why does she really like to hang out with Mickey Dolenz and and what's left of the monkeys?
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Well, I can tell you that story about Mickey Dolenz. Well, let's see.
I want to hear stories. That's what I'm here for.
You know, I love the Monkees since I was a teen, and I love watching their TV show, of course. I have it on DVD, and I started seeing him in concert many times since 2010. I mean, I liked him at the Happy Together tour. He entertains great. I like him when he sings with Davy and Peter. That was the only one time I saw him with Davy and Peter, right before we lost Davy Jones. Saw him one time with Mike, which is the Monkees' farewell concert, and it was right before we lost Mike. And of course, at one of those Beatle events, and of course, the Beatle tribute he did called the White Album. It was 50 years ago today, and at one of the Beatle events. Now, here's a story how I hang out with Mickey a couple of times. Ever since the Beatles tribute, the White Album he did, it gives me an idea. And I know the promoter Daniel Hartwell from Beatles on the Beach Festival. I said to him, we should get Mickey for Beatles on the Beach Festival. And that was in 2019. So we got him booked for 2020, but then we had to postpone it because of COVID. And then we got him.
She froze up again.
I was about to say, I thought I lost both of you.
No,
sorry.
I'm here.
Okay, let me start again. Okay, so we got Mickey for Beatles on the Beach. I was so excited, and got to meet him at a meet and greet with some people, and he's great. Got a picture with him, got to chat a little bit with him, and that was it. And again at Abbey Road on the River, and again at Fest for Beatles. He is a great guy, although I'd like to get him on my radio show someday, but he's hard to get, but I hope to get him soon. So I'd like to get Mickey someday.
Well, I happen to have Mickey Dolen's phone number.
Oh, really?
I do. I know Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
I know a great many people, and Cal will tell you I'm very guarded about who I talk about on the show, because I get inundated with emails going, can you hook me up with this person? Can I have their email? Blah, 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 blah. No. The answer is no. The answer is always no until you prove yourself. Keeping the classics alive, Meagan, at the history of rockandroll.net. What can people expect when they tune in to the Meagan Pace show, Meagan Rock Radio at the history of rockandroll.net? What can I expect to hear?
Well, I want to see the listeners that they enjoyed the show. I want to make it fun. I want to see great positive thoughts about it. That's what I like to hear. I mean, I want people to have a good time listening in and hear what they hear, to hear the music, and I want them to hear the guests I have on, because getting guests on the show is a lot of fun. Because
who's your favorite guest? Let me ask you a two-pronged question. Who was the first guest that you got, your favorite guest, and who was the guest that gave you the hardest time?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't have any guests that would give me the hardest times, but I can tell you my first guest or the favorite guest.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, the first ones I get is some of the people I know that lives in Florida. Some of them are tribute singers and stuff. But the first one I had someone famous on the show I enjoyed is Bobby Hart, because having Bobby
Well,
is
sure.
great. I mean, having Bobby Hart is great. He would tell me stories how he wrote songs with Tommy Boyd, songs for the
Mhm.
Monkees, and he's great. So that was the first one, and having Bobby was good. The next guest, I had Jim Peterick from Ides of March and
Sure.
a former of Survivor. And when I had Jim on, he's full of sense of humor. I think having Jim is great. Although I call him Jimbo, it's good having him. And also having all these Beatle authors or
Sure.
anyone connected to the Beatles, I thought that was great. But this
Mhm.
woman I enjoyed is Chris O'Dell, but they call her Miss O'Dell, and she's a very sweet lady. She works with the Beatles from Apple Records. She was on the
Mhm.
Rooftop, sang on backing vocals on Hey Jude. She worked with George
Sure.
Harrison from Don't Tell Me, from All Things Must Pass, the Bangladesh concert. She works for the
Awesome.
Stones, Bob Dylan. I mean, she's great. Having her was
Yeah.
amazing. And the other one I enjoyed is called The Lads of Liverpool. So I interviewed Terry Sylvester. I thought he's great. Joey Mullen
Mhm.
from Badfinger. I thought having Joey was great. And Billy J. Kramer. I think one of them are great. Uh,
Billy J was just here in New Jersey, as a matter of fact.
oh,
He did a show with for Gene DiNapoli. I'm sure you know Gene. You know Gene DiNapoli? He's a
no.
he's a promoter on the East Coast.
Okay.
We just had the Circles. We had Billy J.
That's another one. That's another person. I had interviewed Don Danimum, and he told me a lot of great stories about the
Sure.
circle and how Brian Epstein with John Lennon's idea came up with the name. It's actually a funny story. And I
Yeah.
interviewed Dean Torrance from Jan and Dean, and when I interviewed
Sure.
Dean, he's very laid back. I mean, I thought he's great.
Hmm.
And the one I enjoyed is Lawrence Juber from Wings. He would tell me great stories on Paul McCartney with Wings,
Hmm.
guitar solos, and different artists he has played with. I mean,
Hmm.
having him was great. And the other time I interviewed Peter Asher, who's a great storyteller on the
Of
Beatles,
course.
James
Oh my
Taylor.
God.
Peter's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
See,
And last,
the fun
go
is
ahead.
I'm listening to you tell these, we call them name dropping, but I'm listening to these names, and I've had all of these people not only on my podcast, I've also had them on my radio programs, and I've
Yeah.
actually emceed a few shows with actually a lot of these people.
Yes. And
I'm
yeah.
going to introduce you, Megan, to a guy named Dan. Um, well, I'll just call him Dan. We'll just call him Dan. I don't want to say his last name on the air, but Dan is a friend of Paul McCartney, and I'm going to introduce you to him. I'm going to give you his phone number. This guy gave Paul McCartney a Rickenbacker bass guitar.
Wow.
Okay, I actually spoke to. I had the chance to talk to to Denny on the phone for a while, and oh my God, all the guys from Wings. The God, Jimmy is not. Jimmy's gone now.
Yeah, Jimmy
Um,
Batella. Are you talking about Denny Lane or is it Denny Side?
yeah, and of course Denny. Yeah, Denny.
Denny
I
Lane.
figured you would know Denny Lane. Yeah,
Well,
that's why I just said Denny.
I met him, but I never got a chance to interview him. The only Wings I
Mhm.
interviewed were Lawrence Juber, Jeff Britton, and Denny Sidewell. Those are the only.
I had Jeff Britton on the show.
Yeah,
I
Jeff's
had him
great.
here.
Yeah, I had him talk about the one hand clapping, and of course in Nashville, Tennessee, and he just interviewed by Tom Frangione, who interviewed Jeff
Yeah.
about the one hand clapping. I mean, the one hand clapping was pretty good.
I am going to introduce you to Dan. I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do this. You're a Beatles person, okay?
Correct. Yes.
Dan, last name withheld for privacy's sake. Dan is a guy who was at Junior's farm for 3 weeks.
No, I know what Dan you're talking about, and I interviewed him. I know
Okay,
Dan.
I was okay. Never mind then. There you go.
That's Dan Ailey. I know Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Dan Ely is Dan is the guy who spent 3 weeks. Listen to this one, Cal. He spent 3 weeks, almost a full month, with Paul McCartney and Wings at Junior's farm.
Yes.
Dan has the only surviving original tape on recorder tape of Junior's farm live in the garage at Junior's farm. Now, if you guys don't know who
I see we got frozen
Putnam is,
again.
yeah, you're frozen. There you go. There you go.
Okay, sorry,
Junior,
but I hear what you're saying. The Junior spot.
Junior Putnam was the guy that owned Junior's farm, and I believe that the Putnam farm is still there. I don't know who owns it now, but that was Junior Putnam was a very well-known Tennessean who had a shit ton of money, a lot of money, and he was very dear friends with Paul McCartney.
That's very nice.
Do me a favor, when you talk to Dan, say, "Hey Dan, this is Meagan, Rockadio. I spoke to the Mad Dog. I was on the Mad Dog show," and he's going to go, "You did not do the Mad Dog show." But I love Dan. He's a great guy.
Yeah, Dan's great, and he likes when I interviewed Jeff Britton, and I made a shout out how Dan got to meet them, and it's great. Yeah. And of course he still have pictures of all the well, he got pictures when Dan got pictures of Paul and all the Wings members, Jimmy and Denny Lane and Jeff Britton, of course, with Roy Orbison. I mean, Paul has great moments in Nashville. I mean, and if you're at the Musician Hall of Fame in Nashville, you'll.
Did you ever get a chance? Oh, she's frozen again. I was just going to ask her.
Hold on, I'm right here.
Okay. Right here. Did you ever get a chance to hear any behind-the-scenes stories about Jimmy McCullough?
No, but I had read a book called Little Wing, and it's written by Paul Soley, but I never seen the documentary behind the scene yet on Jimmy McCullough, but I heard his story.
You have, and I love the fact that you have a fascination with the Beatles. I had a woman, you're going to appreciate this, Meagan. I had a woman on my show here from Liverpool. She still lives in Liverpool. Her husband and her husband still live in the same house that they did in 1958. This woman's name is Debbie Greenberg.
Oh, I know her. I know Debbie, and I interviewed her twice on the show. She's great.
Debbie's a dear friend of mine.
Yes.
Debbie's a dear friend of mine. Yeah. Debbie's got, I'm going to tell you something. Oh, she's frozen again. She's frozen again.
Wow. Hold on. Here I am again. I was saying, sadly, Debbie's husband just passed away recently.
Oh, did he? Oh, what a nice man he was. What a nice man.
But
Debbie, and if you don't know the story, for the people listening, let me just tell you about Debbie Greenberg. She is a dear friend of mine. She's been a guest on the show many times. Debbie's father and Debbie and her father owned the Cavern Club.
Yes, that is correct. That was in the late 60s. Yes.
They owned the Cavern Club, and her father was the first person to record the Beatles. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but that's interesting.
Yep. Her father was in the music business, was in the recording business. Her father had a recording studio. It was right next to the Cavern Club. Right next to the Cavern Club. In fact, the back doors of the place connected. So you could go from his studio into the Cavern Club from the very, very back.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's utterly fascinating to think of the history in that place. Of course, the original Cavern Club has been destroyed.
Yes.
And it's been all rebuilt. I think they did a fairly, respectable job of, maintaining the original look of the cavern, certainly the feel of the cavern. and definitely the sound acoustics of the cavern. That one of the things about the Cavern Club, and Paul McCartney said this, is that it had great acoustics because the ceilings were rounded. Remember, Debbie, the Debbie Greenberg talked about the oh god, the semicircular ceilings of the Cavern Club created almost like this echo chamber effect. It was great for recording, Megan. If
Yeah.
you've never seen, have you ever seen the inside of the original cavern?
No, but I am planning to go to Liverpool again next August for the International Beatle Week, and I did been there and I did went to Liverpool 10 years ago, and I actually know the people that I interviewed that are from Liverpool besides Debbie Greenberg. So, like, I can name you some. Like, besides Debbie, I interviewed. They're a lovely couple. Their names are Mike and Bernie Byrne, and they own the Beatles Story exhibit on Albert Dock. And Mike used to be a Mercy Beat musician, and
Right.
his wife Bernie, she used to go to the Cavern Club many times, and she used to date with Paul and George back then before she married Mike. And Mike and Bernie has great stories on the Beatles too, of course. I mean, it's good knowing Mike and Bernie. Another guy is a Beatle historian, David Bedford, and he has great stuff about.
Megan? Are you a fan of the Mersey Sound?
Yes, I do. I like those British invasion
You,
stuff.
you like Jerry and the Pacemakers, Freddie and the Dreamers?
Yes, I do. I really like those. Yes.
Freddie
Peter
and the
and Gordon,
Dreamers
of course,
from Britain.
Yes, I do.
Peter and Gordon, absolutely. They were a long time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Cal, questions for our friend Megan, Rock Radio.
What is your least and most favorite Beatles albums? Because I know everybody has their Beatles songs that they don't like.
Oh my goodness, it's hard to pick what an album you like, but maybe I'll go for Magical Mystery Tour. I really like the music, of course. I thought it's a good album. I like the opening track. I like Bull on the Hill. I like how they did on the arranging of I Am the Walrus. It's good, but there's a lot of great songs from other albums I like. But
what about Sergeant Pepper and the Lonely Hearts?
Oh, like that too. I mean, they did a really good job because of George Martin's arrangement. Because I thought it was pretty well done too.
Well, yeah, the White Album, Yellow Submarine.
Yep.
I have something that Megan's going to want when I show her.
What is it?
It's a limited edition. Only 100 copies were made. These are all numbered.
Oh, that's the new edition that came out in 2018. That's the White Album. I know that one. Yeah.
Oh, not this one. You don't.
Oh, what is it?
These are all the Escher demos. All of the Escher demos. Yep. Do you have them?
I don't know, but I might, because
these are all the original Escher demos recorded by the original artist before the Beatles got a hold of them.
Wow.
Because I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind.
So it's not remixed or remastered?
No, these are the original demos. Here's the thing about this set, okay? The fascinating thing about this set is none of these songs were written by the Beatles.
Oh, didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, none of them were written by the Beatles. And here's what they all look like inside. Plain white sleeves.
Yeah.
Yep. And there were only 100 of these made.
Interesting.
Yeah, only 100 of these. And these are numbered here on the back. So I'll put that aside. And I have a signed, where is it? And I have a signed John Lennon photo.
Oh.
Which is treasured.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I have a lot of cool John Lennon memorabilia. I have a bobblehead right behind me, and I had that John Lennon art I got at.
I think everybody had a bobblehead at one point.
I can show you right away. Hold on.
Go ahead. Sure.
Hold on. I have it right here.
He's got a room full of stuff there, Cal.
Oh yeah. I used to I'm impressed.
It is.
There you go. Oh, look at that. That's great. I love that.
This is a bobblehead from a picture taken by the great Bob Gruen, who I had the pleasure of interviewing. And this was in
Bob's a great guy.
Yes. Yeah, and not just artists. I have interviewed photographers, and I can tell you how I got involved with photographers. Back 5 years ago, when we were in COVID, I got the message and saying, "Why won't you interview Elliot Landing?" And I went, and then I look up on him, and he's the guy who took pictures of of Woodstock, Hendrix, of course, The Doors, Bob Dylan on Nashville skyline, and I went, "Hey, he's interesting." So I got to interview Elliot, and he's a very interesting guy, has great stories about Woodstock, and he's still out there. So having him was great. And yes, I interviewed Bob Gruen, who took a lot of great pictures of John Lennon, and not just John. He took shots on Elton John,
Sure. Absolutely.
He's great. And the next guy I interviewed, and he's one of the most popular photographer. His name is Henry Dills.
Sure.
Yeah,
he's legendary. Henry's legendary.
Yep, and that's Henry. And another one where it was Ethan Russell. I got to hear about Ethan Russell because when I was watching the Get Back series that was on Disney Plus, it shows him taking pictures of the Beatles, which was shown on the album on the Let It Be cover and the rooftop concert.
What did you think of the Disney production, the Peter Jackson's Get Back?
I thought it was very good. There's a lot to know about that we never know because this is from the Let It Be film. Although before the rooftop, it was going to be the concert was going to be somewhere else, like in the park. It was going to be somewhere else, and then George has.
Well, it was supposed to have. It was originally. I don't know if people understand this part, but it was supposed to be a televised concert. It was supposed to be a television special.
That's right. That's what I learned about.
Then there were disagreements on how much money and who was getting what, and George walked out of the session.
That's right.
They had to call him back in.
Yeah, he came.
Ringo left, and Ringo actually quit the Beatles at that point and came back. Right. People don't know that Ringo quit the band. And he was gone for 4-5 months, and a lot of people don't know this.
Well, that is correct, and of course, and not just the Get Back series. And the one that was really good is the Beatles anthology. I mean, it aired 30 years ago, but now it's streaming on Disney Plus. I mean, they restored it pretty good. I mean, they did a good
legendary.
job.
That anthology series, I think did an amazing job of capsulating pretty much every major milestone of the Beatles' career.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I really think they did a respectable job of that.
I got a question for both of you. What do you?
Go ahead, Cal.
Have you guys heard the song that they produced using AI to finish it, called "Now and Then"?
Yes.
Actually, I really like it. I like how Paul put it together because it was going to be used for the anthology, but it didn't happen because of different technology back then. And now we got the new one, so Paul using better technology, so you can hear the sound better on John, and good remix that Charles Martin put together. I thought it was really very well done.
Well, the biggest problem is that John and George weren't there.
I know.
And that unfortunately, as much as you can do with AI, the one thing you can't do, and I have proven it on this show, Cal, recently with Elvis Presley. You can get close to the voice, but it's not going to be the voice. You can get close to John Lennon. You can get close to George, but it's not going to be John and George. It's never going to happen. But I think they did a respectable job of, I'll say it this way, Meagan. I think they did a respectable job of capturing the spirit
Actually,
Would you agree?
yeah, you're absolutely right. Because if you're listening to it, it sounded like you hear John. Because remember, this is a recording that John used when he was recording at home, right
Yeah.
before he got shot. I mean,
Hmm.
and they did a good job. I mean, you can hear it on the Beatles channel now, or you can hear it, or when Paul did his Got Back tour, Paul
Yeah.
had been doing it too. I mean, and now a couple of tribute bands are trying to play,
Yeah.
the Now and Then.
Well,
I mean,
interesting thing is that that song Now and Then was supposed to be included on John Lennon's Double Fantasy album way back when.
wow,
Yeah.
didn't
My only issue with the
Oh
track
yeah.
was it was repetitive. Like
Say again, Cal.
it was a good track, but it was very repetitive.
Very much so. But you have to remember something. And as I said when we did the AI show just recently, there are some things that only the human voice can carry. You can always tell a mechanical voice. It lacks emotion, it lacks pitch, it lacks a certain kind of vibrato. You're never going to get that with AI technology or a machine or what they call a canned sound. They one of the masters, one of the absolute masters of recording was George Martin, Sir George Martin. George was light years ahead of his time. Sergeant Pepper is proof positive of that. There would be no Sergeant Peppers without George Martin.
correct. That is correct.
And I believe that. I really believe that. Now, Megan, I would not be the Mad Dog unless I brought up some conspiracy stuff. So let's talk about some conspiracy stuff. Okay. There has been a long held rumor that Paul McCartney died in 1966. Let's talk. Is she shaking her head?
Well, that's
What-
there was a rumor since 1969, and some people thought it was, but Paul was still with us. I mean, all we hear was a crazy rumor. I mean, Paul was still in Scotland with Linda at that time too. I
So
think
you think it's all a bunch of hogwash? Okay.
yeah, it's kind of a hoax. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean that's kind
So there are people who think that Paul McCartney that we see today is actually the person called Billy Shears.
oh, that was from that song
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. From the Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club song. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's actually a Beatles track that I don't remember exactly which one, but when you reverse it, they did it on purpose and they did some
I know.
backmasking.
It's
And they
called
said Paul was dead,
backward
man.
masking, and that was the
Oh,
brainchild of George Martin. George Martin did that.
oh, that's the Revolution number 9. Yeah.
Yes.
That was you hear John Lennon, supposedly saying Paul is dead or I buried Paul.
Oh, well, that's the Strawberry Fields one. That's when they say cranberry sauce. Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
he says,
supposedly
Paul is dead, man.
yeah.
He says Paul is
Supposedly
dead, man.
cranberry
Miss
sauce.
him, miss him.
Yeah.
First of all, I think I'm a fairly intelligent guy. I think I know what I buried Paul sounds like as opposed to cranberry sauce sounds like. So, but I'll tell you what, Megan, what we're going to do is I'm going to tell everybody that Meagan Rock Radio Pace can be heard on the historyofrockandroll.net. And that is universal. It is across the U.S., Canada, and around the world, just as we are. We and I love being able to say that we have a worldwide podcast. Do you ever stop? Because I do that sometimes. I stop and think about there's somebody in Germany or Ireland listening to my voice right now. And I think about that, you know?
Hmm.
You ever think about that? There's somebody overseas listening to your voice?
Um, yeah, I guess so. Or when they hear my voice, they said I sound like some people say I sound like I'm a radio host, the way I talk. So,
Well, you're supposed to. You're just supposed to sound that way.
well,
You
yeah.
are a radio host.
Well, yeah, and also when I was going to events, they would recognize me and saying, "Hey, I heard you do a radio show," and then I would give them my
Mhm.
business cards. It happens
Right.
at Beatles on the Beach. It happens at Fest for Beatles fans and Abbey Road on the River. I mean, it's kind of nice when
Yeah.
someone recognizes me. And since we're talking about Beatles, last week was a 45th anniversary that we lost John Lennon,
Yeah.
and losing John Lennon was a tragic loss. And before John died, he was going to come back to play again. He just came out with an album, Double Fantasy. We all know that. And I just did a show on remembering John Lennon with 4 guests on the show. I did had Bob Gruen talked about his pictures he took of John. The other 3 guests, one is David Sheff, and he wrote a book called about the interviews he did with John and Yoko, and that was back in
Mhm.
1980, right before John got shot. And he also wrote a bio about Yoko as well.
Yeah.
Another one is a woman named Lori Kay from Los Angeles, and she talks a story about how she created on John Lennon's interview, which would be the last one, the
Yeah.
same day, December 8th, 1980, right before.
Mhm.
And she was excited on meeting a Beatle legend, and a guy named Gary Van Syco from Elephant Memory, and he has a story on backing with John and Yoko on the one-to-one benefit concert at Madison
Mhm.
Square, the Dick Cavett show, and Mike Douglas show. But
Mhm.
I mean, losing John Lennon was a tragic loss after what really happened in New York City. I mean, my dad
Yeah.
heard about it, and a couple of my friends heard it. Some heard it late that night, and most heard it the next day.
I
So,
knew a guy that went on tour with the Beatles. He toured with the Beatles for 3 years. You might know this name, Megan, if you know anything about Beatles history. His name was Larry Kane.
oh, I know him. I met him at Fest for Beatles fan, and I had interviewed him too.
Larry is a great guy. I know Larry well. Larry was a guy that was a ABC News affiliate anchor here in Philadelphia on WFIL TV way back in the day. Larry Kane was somewhat of a legend. He started his career in Florida,
Yes,
and he wrote a letter to Brian Epstein, and just out of just off the whim, he wrote a letter to Brian Epstein, requesting an interview with the Beatles. He said, "Well, no, I won't give you an interview, but if you want to come over here and talk to me, maybe you can go on tour with us."
yep,
And
and
and that,
yep.
that's just how. Am I lying? That's just how it happened.
Larry told me a lot of great stories how he toured with the Beatles. He remembers the stories, how he traveled with them since the U.S. tour in '64. He would ask
Yeah.
questions. They would talk to him about how the fans were screaming or being thrown at jelly beans or jelly babies or meeting Elvis or all the
Right.
all the craziness going on. But Larry is great, and of course he met John in the '70s when
Hmm.
John did like the weather report.
John Lennon. Cal, I'm going to tell you a story. You're going to think I'm nuts. And Megan can verify this. John Lennon and Yoko
Yeah,
used to take the subway, and they would take the train and a bus to Philadelphia. They would take the train to Grand Central from Philadelphia. From New York City to Penn Station. In Philadelphia has a place called 30th Street Station. It's a train depot. Back in the day, it was called the Second Penn Station because the Penn Station's in New York. If guys, if you know anything about the New York transit system, you've got Grand Central Terminal and Penn Station are the two big, transportation hubs. they had a place in Philadelphia where John used to come in on the train called 30th Street Station, also known as Little Penn, or they used to call it Second Penn. Yeah. You're surprised at that, Meg, when I say that to you.
Wow. Didn't know that. That's amazing.
I'm giving you a history lesson, kid.
Okay, well, let's see, and not just Larry King. Another person I interviewed who introduced the Beatles at Hollywood Bowl, and he's still out there, Bob Eubanks. And
oh my God, Bob has got to be 90 years old at least.
He's still in his 80s, and he sounds great when I talk to him on the phone, and he's great.
He's always going to have that wonderful voice.
Yeah,
he's a radio guy.
Yeah, radio and
radio. Yeah, absolutely.
Still host, and now not just Bob Eubanks. Another person I interviewed. He travels around the world and interviews people on what is their favorite moments on the Beatles. And he did it's called The Beatles Story. And now he's going to do Beatles Story Volume 2. He's also a songwriter. He's a musician and a big Beatles fan. His name is Seth Swirsky, and he has great stuff to talk about the Beatles. He even met Paul and Ringo. He met George during the Traveling Wilburys, and he even met George Martin during the Love Show. So Seth is great.
Yeah. I got something you might want to see. Do you mind if I go grab it, Angelo, real quick?
Go ahead, please.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I love show and tell. Are you kidding me? Megan, why don't we do this while Cal is looking for his item? Why don't you promote yourself? Where can people hear you? And of course, you got the history of rock and roll.net. Where can they see you? What conventions are coming up? Where are you going to be? Tell everybody.
Okay, well, tune in. My show is www.thehistoryofrockandroll.net. It's on Monday and Thursday. It gets podcast by the afternoon or early evening in Eastern time. And we got a Beatle event coming up in March. It's called Beatles on the Beach Festival. And it's going to be in Boca Raton, Florida, in Meisner Park, done by Daniel Hartwell. And it's going to be on March 12th through the 15th. Main headliners is Morgan Freeman's Blues Symphonic Show, and we got Tony Kishman's Live and Let Die Show, a tribute to Paul McCartney, and I'm going to be part for this event because my show is the sponsor. And not just that, we got others coming up, especially Tom Frangione, the Beatle expert, and of course we got Greg Besnet, who played with Ringo. So
terrific.
So that's Beatles on the Beach. And if anyone's going to Jeffersonville, Indiana on Memorial Day weekend, there's Abbey Road on the River. You can check more at arotr.com. It's going to have Mickey Dolenz, Peter Noon, Lawrence Juber, and the Cowsills. But check more at Beatles on the Beach. You can check it at beatlesonthebeach.com.
God bless Peter Noon, because that man doesn't age. He looks the same now
as
he did. He still has that baby face. He's such a baby face. He really is.
And he kind of looks like the John F.
Cal?
Oh, let me see.
This is hold up. It's I Wanna Hold Your Hand. It's a Beatles movie.
With Eddie Deason.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And it is signed by Eddie, of course.
Who cares? Who gives a shit? Who gives a rat's ass? Eddie Deason, please. I can say that because I know Eddie, but that's okay. Look,
Eddie,
it's a nice little collectible. But you know what? Here's the thing. If it makes you happy, Cal, put it in, watch it, have fun with it. And that's what it's all about. It's all about the music. It's all about the memories. I remember I grew up watching the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964. Okay. In 1964, you guys weren't even a thought yet. Okay. I remember going out and buying a Beatles wig and becoming a drummer because Ringo played the drums. I did, and I became a very good drummer. Yeah, absolutely. But one of the things about the convention circuit and people who travel and do all that, you do it because you love it. Okay, you're not making any money, or you're making very little money. And most of the time, it's costing you money to do it. And you know what? That's okay. As long as you're having fun. Um, and I tell everybody that. If you're having fun, who cares? So Megan, I wish you well, young lady.
Thank you.
Have fun. Continue to go out there. Make some noise. I always tell people in my business, talk loud and draw a crowd. That's the name of the game.
That's right. Whammo to that, of course.
Absolutely.
I'll
Cal,
definitely be tuning in.
promote yourself, Mr. Cal there, Big Cal.
Well, my name's Cal. I'm an actor, musician. I play guitar, bass. I can play a little bit of drums, but you don't want me on a drum set.
Where can people reach you, Cal? Your social media?
Well, you can reach me on my YouTube at Cal the Actor and on Instagram. I forgot how to even check. Oh, I'm Callum Michael Yater on Instagram.
You got it. All right. Well, we will be back next. By the way, thank you to my guest last night, Taylor Blackwell, my dear friend, Taylor Blackwell. She's got a bunch of movies coming up and a bunch of stuff. I want to tell you what, she's busy. She's a busy young lady. We have next week, we will be paying tribute to the Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. I will have the country's #1 tribute show to the Rat Pack next week live in studio. We will be here, and I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be a good one. And just confirmed for the new year, Mary Murphy from So You Think You Can Dance will be with us. And I will present for the first time on any podcast the country's #1 Elvis tribute artist. You've never seen him before. He is blowing people away. Wait till you see this guy. And that will be after the first of the year. Until then, we will be back next week. We hope, we pray we will be back. Remember, tomorrow was promised to no one. So we always say, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. We'll be back next week with another show. For Meagan, Rock Radio Pace, for Big Cal Yater, I am the Mad Dog. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.